Pretty tough old round for BBL Supercoach in round 5. I almost doubled my rank, which was not lovely, 1253. And coming into that last game, I was sitting at 124 points, which is pretty disgusting when a lot of people were sitting in the 400s with a bunch of players to go. So I ended up at 399 and not very happy with that one. It did kind of, I suppose, ruin the season. Like I was looking at last night, I was like, I'm 650th out of 55,000. That's pretty solid, and not a lot has gone correct. Luck wise, and I've made a few mistakes along the way, guys like Jake Weatherwood and the like. So yeah, this one was probably more around the luck side, to be fair. I was pretty happy with my selections, and I got unlucky in that first game, having unfortunately 5 players that were in that Brisbane Heat and the Sixers game, which is pretty tough to miss out on that. I also had Fergus O'Neill, who was going to be out, and then it was up in the air whether Weatherwood and Liam Scott were going to play. So I was like, Liam Scott, probably not. Weatherwood a chance, which ended up paying off there. And so I did have to make my trades according to that. And I could make a couple early. I did trade out Walter and Renshaw in that one. And then I was like, well, I probably should be trading out Fergus O'Neill on that front. So that was the play. And it was just waiting to see if Weatherwood and Scott didn't play, it was going to be 11 players only. And I was like, well, if Weatherwood does happen to play and I do make an early trade, then the way it's set up, I was only going to be able to play the 11 players and not have the 12th, considering my wicketkeeper slot was the one that I was going to miss out on. So you just have a quick look here at my scores. So Philippi was in my emergencies along with Dwarcius and also Jack Edwards. So that was covered all over the shop. So I couldn't actually play another emergency. There's a lot of tactical stuff here. And in the end, I was glad I made the correct call, theoretically, but it didn't work out perfectly on the scoring side, because I did want Finn Allen at 82k, like losing 2.5k after that good score for a bat-only guy that's a gun. That was the play this week. But unfortunately, I did want to have the potential to have 12 players, and if I did that with Finn, I would have only had the 11 guaranteed. And I was like, well, I probably need a little bit more here, and then to buy some double guys to try and come back. So theoretically, it was the correct call. It wasn't the best call overall, because I did end up buying McDermott at the end, so I did have a keeper and a 12th option, especially sitting there having Turner with the 0. That was an absolutely beautiful turn of events in that one. When a few guys got dropped beforehand, Turner comes in. Oh, sorry, I didn't pick Finn. He did really well. He gets out. Turner comes in and gets out first ball off a good length ball. He just pumped to cover after how well he's been playing. So the different luck points there with Turner's 65 last week, Stoinis' 90 odd. They both got well under that this week, obviously, and I didn't play them last week and had to play them this week. So there's different luck points like that you can be on the good side or the bad side sometimes. And for me this week, it was the bad side. I got 1 extra point for my captain, Overton over Stoinis in the end, because I couldn't end up looping Stoinis. Brought in Agar for his 4, McDermott for the 17 off 13 before he got out. So that was he's heading for a decent score. Very happy with Lynn there, and just the things that the laughable ones like Will Sutherland. You don't have him from the start. He's coming off an injury, first game back. A few people jump on him and decide to captain him, and he goes 100 basically, or 115 and 98 or whatever it was. And then you buy him and he goes you miss him for the second round, 62 or whatever it is, and then you buy him and he goes well under 50 in all these games and loses plenty of cash. So the timing on certain things is incredible how it works as well. So yeah, it's a fun game. It can be frustrating, but there's different little wins you can get out of it as well. Like, picking Finn Allen at 82k is magic. Picking some guys at 170 or 150 after they've had a few good scores, probably not ideal. Buying Wes Agar last week instead of the one just gone was the winning deal when he had a real big negative break even. He had a negative break even again, but it's very hard to go back to back to back tons, right? It's cricket. You're going to have, just like as a batter, you're going to have some good scores and you're going to have a poor score. And that's how it was with Agar. So yeah, having guys at better prices, buying Chris Lynn when I did was a correct call. You're buying him at a cheaper price after he's gone 3 poor scores in a row. These kind of things are the better plays, and going for for Weatherald after he had a good score. It's easy yes, you can keep the form going, but as a batter, it can be hard to keep that up for sure. If Sutherland had a couple of great games, then the poor one comes. Bought Chowdhury this week. He's got 22 runs, but Tim David was incredible and covered that one. So you can't get it as a player. You can't get it perfect every week, and that's what we when we buy them we expect. So it's a fun one to think of, and obviously roll is the big one, but getting guys at the correct price is also the big one, because you can have that great roll. Like even Overton last night, he went 3 overs none for 56. It's like, whoa, or 54, whatever it was. Thankfully, he's scoring runs with the bat and just hates getting out. Apparently, I think he's got out once this whole tournament. So yeah, just looking at different guys, and that's probably what I want to bring to the chat this week, is just looking at guys that have the roll and are at a really solid price to go along with this Thunder double. But I did have my 3 trades locked and loaded, and I do think I will be changing now, more for the fact that one of these guys that I want to bring in, I mentioned him last week, is a really good purchase. I think most of the guys I mentioned last week were good purchases, were good buys. It was just the fact that there was like 6 of them that I thought were really solid to pick up, and a few of them didn't work. Like Chris Jordan didn't bowl great, got a wicket at the end for 24, and then Chowdhury got the 36. But yeah, you're buying them for their upcoming double and that lower break even. But guys like Finn Allen, guys like Jacob Bethel, I mentioned, were really good purchases this week. And if you jumped on both of them, you would have crushed it in this one. But I was looking at 3 Thunder players, but looking at their second game, it's meant to rain all week in Sydney. And I'm up the Central Coast there, and we're expecting a lot of rain here as well. I've got a bunch of cricket coaching coming up that's clinics and stuff that are probably not going to go ahead this week. So I was looking at that, and I think instead of just going all out on the 3 Thunder guys, I am going to change. And I think Lockie Ferguson's probably going to be the one to make way for Jacob Bethel. I just think he has close to the best role in the game right now and is at a ridiculously low price. So I wanted to just lock and load the 3 Thunder guys. I've played with Green and Fergo, and I've played against Warner. So I was like, that's fun. And I'm a Thunder fan, so let's go all in on the Thunder guys. But then looking at that, I think that it's going to be tough to get a full game or even a game at all at the showground on Wednesday night. This first one will be fine at the Gabba, but yeah, missing out on that one. I'm like, well, I've got a guy sitting there with a terrific role. I probably can't pass that one up. And Fergo has on the double 137 break even, which is not ridiculous, but it's high enough. And you've got Chris Green at a 45 break even. Davey Warner, the reason I wanted to go, I'm going to stick with Warner over someone like Ferguson. As much as I want Fergo, he could easily come out and do really well, but he's batting 10. You're relying on those overs, and he hasn't got a wicket in the last 2, which means he's probably coming out for a bag this week. But yeah, if it's only going to be one game, he has a high break even, probably going to take the punt against him on that one and pick the guy that's in form. And something else to note this week, guys, is vice captain if you can. If you've got a couple of strikers like myself, the trades I'm looking at right now, I do have 53k in the bank, and I think if I get Bethel, I'll probably end up keeping one of Lynn or Thornton over Weatherald. I think I can just make that work. It's probably someone like Lynn, to be fair, considering he has the highest upside of him and Thornton, in my opinion, and has hit a bit of form the last 2 games, so he could come out and do the same again. And what about that knock on his head? That was a fierce bouncer. But Linny, he might be the guy I do hold if I can. I think I'll be close. Yeah, I'll be very, very close on numbers once I'll do it on here while we're on the video anyway. But yeah, they're the 3 guys I'm going to have to move on from. Overton goes in a couple of games, so I think 2 more rounds for him, and he goes coming into round 8, I believe. Anyway, so yeah, and he has like the 1 game left anyway, and then yeah, just need the cash to upgrade to get these guys and go all in and try and make something work. But also don't want to be stuck with, especially in that second game there for the Thunder, it's up against Hobart, and I have a couple of players from Hobart now in McDermott and in Chowdhury. So if I miss out on that game, then I am in a little bit of strife there. So I definitely need to trade out my buy players, and that just allows me to easily vice captain loop. So if you just pretend, like, I can definitely bring in Liam Scott, who's on the buy, and Dwarshus or Stoinis or something like that. Let's just say for this one, put Green as vice captain. If he's only to get the 1 game, that they're game 3, and then Stars and Sixers are game 4. If Green only plays the one game, it looks like that one's going to be cooked, then I'll loop that score, whether it's good or not. So if Greeny, let's just say, gets a 70 and they don't play that second game, I'll vice captain loop him. If he only gets a 30 or something like that, then I'll captain a Dwarcius or a Jack Edwards or something like that in that final game, which is easy to do. So if you're in that same situation, you're wanting to captain a Thunder player, then that is the way to do it this week if you've got a couple of bye guys. So just a little bit of strategic thinking there, just to try and maximize your points each and every round. And I've got Turner there, who's on the single in that Optus Stadium game, the second game, so I'll emergency loop him. Zampa's going to be on the emergency loop as well in that second game, and if we do miss out on Chowdhury or McDermott, then we do have the ability to do some looping in that one as well, and I can muck around, and if we are going to miss that Hobart game, I'll move Philippi up to wicketkeeper, and I'll take Turner's score, that kind of thing. So there's a few things to think about. I think we'll lock and load with that. And so let's move Fergo to Bethel now. Batting at 4 and bowling 3 overs is absolutely incredible. And that's what I was talking about last week. It looked like he was a good chance of keeping that role. And of course for Bethel, just like in terms of luck, Finn Allen got dropped earlier on by Billings off Wes Agar, owning Wes Agar. That was good. Some people had Wes, Billings, and Finn. So you probably wanted the Finn Allen score, to be fair there, given he's a little bit lower ownership. And then Bethel in that game as well, he got dropped, which was just beautiful, on like 20 odd or something, and then went on to get a 49, and then got the run out, got a couple of catches in the field, and then bowled the 3 overs. So everything was happening for Bethel. He's in the hot spots there. So just as I said, luck comes and plays a big part of it. And then having Will Sutherland, Maxwell has that hit over the top of Rogers' head. It's a pretty easy catch, to be fair. So there was 30 points, and then Maxwell ended up finishing off and getting 20 off 11 and getting the strike rate bonus. So swings and roundabouts. It's a hilarious game sometimes. But let's go Bethel in. So what does that give me? 16k. Yeah, I don't know if it allows me to keep the great man Lynn, but we'll see how that one works. So I'm just going to rock and roll with Bethel in instead of Fergo. And that gives me 2 bowlers from the Thunder team, and then Warner for the batters. And we'll go through some of those options now as we go through it. And then Bethel, I think, mixing him in, number 4, having a bat from the Renegades, it's going to bowl as well. In a fairly solid team, the Renegades, I think that'll be fun. But in the wicket keepers, you only have a couple of options there, and that's Matt Gilkes there at the cheaper price. He's going to bat a little bit higher now that you've got Bancroft that's going to be out. He would have been ahead of Sam's anyway, but they've signed Dan Christian, which is going to be good fun. Hopefully he gets a game. He's played a few games for UNSW and done really well. I think he gets the club I used to play for, Sutherland. He picked up 140 or something like that, which was crazy. He's got a couple of 70s in there as well. So he's definitely, at 41 years old, would still be able to come out and do fairly well. But Jilks at the cheaper price is there. You've got Billings. If you want the double guy this week, they're the guys that I would look at. Outside of that, it's probably not too many guys that you would trade for. If you have a Seafit, you probably hold at the price now. If you got McDermott like myself, if you've got Philippi, I think with the amount of strikers on buy, you probably sell them before Philippi with a 10 break even as well. He's likely to go up again. And he's in a bit of form, hit 2 good scores before that low one the other day. And there's again a lot of nicks at the Sixers as well. So he's getting catches on that one there. So not too much else to say on the wicketkeeper slot. We already mentioned Jacob Bethel, I think, is the best single game player to go for. You do have Finn Allen, who crushed it obviously at 113 points last game, but he's at 115k now, so it would be the last opportunity to get him, in my opinion. Shafane Rutherford at the Thunder at 76k, he becomes interesting. Him and Lockie Ferguson, this is their last 2 games, so they'll play the double, then he'll go. He finally scored runs. Does that mean it's going to happen again? Unsure, but if you are going to take a punt on a Thunder batsman, then him in that sort of 3-4 range batting there. And he did bowl an over last week, so there's a chance that happens again. But him at 76k is a punt that you could definitely take because he has the talent. He just hadn't showed it until that last game where he got 39 off 19. Tim David, I spoke about him a couple of rounds ago now. I was going to get him, and then things changed when Matt Short went out. But a lovely 97, so I would have taken that score. That would have helped me out a little bit. this week if it came out that way, that's for sure. Warner, we mentioned there, is a good purchase. Expensive. Coming off 2 good scores, though, and we know that he has the talent to go bonkers. Against Bartlett and Johnson might be a little bit tougher, especially he seems to struggle a little bit against the lefties. Spencer, we'll see how that goes, but he's in form at least, so he'll come into that game feeling good about himself. Mitch Owen continues to do the business. He's getting catches, he's scoring runs, 37 off 16 or something last night. Very impressive, and has a double to come with the dual position. 149k is expensive for a non-bowler, but yeah, definitely someone you can have a look at. And welcome back to John Wells. He absolutely crushed it in that game just then. Jukes, as I said, 64k is a potential option, but you're looking at like guys like Nikitaris in that Thunder jersey there that will get that first game, but does he get that second game if Constas does return? It looks like he will be returning in the second game of their double. Probably not too many other guys. Like if Sanger was to return, but is he going to bowl? Is Christian going to play? There's a few guys like that. Is Hugh Weebgen going to play as well at 39k? You probably don't take any of those guys. It's like that top 3 or Billings there. Potentially an Ollie Davies at 62k could do well. Ended up coming in and playing and got 3 points in that last game, which was interesting with the 2 concussion subs. And I'm glad to hear that both Brandcroft and Daniel Sam seem to be okay. That was absolutely disgusting, like especially for guys that aren't used to copping head knocks like you see in footy. And that was 2 guys coming at speed, whereas usually in footy you've got one guy stationary coming in to drop a shoulder or whatever, and one guy coming at speed. But yeah, it was the double, which is pretty crazy, that's for sure. And then to the bowlers there, a couple of guys to look at obviously from the Thunder. As I mentioned, they're the guys you want. Where's Agar, Lockie Ferguson, Chris Green. Andrew's likely to keep playing at 64k. Picked up a 37. Do you want a cheaper guy in there? Maybe you want him in there as just so you can service some other trades or leave some cash in the bank for next week. Then that would be ideal for sure. We should see Liam Hatcher in this game coming up. We may see a Ryan Hadley or a Christian, as we said there earlier. And McAndrew might come back as well. But I do expect probably got Liam Hatcher there who was ready to go. So we'll see how that one plays out for the Thunder boys. If you take the Thunder out of it, or at least bring everyone back in, I still can't believe this Lance Morris one. It's just hilarious how it works sometimes. Hilarious now once you look back, but I picked him up. I spoke about this in the last video, but picked him up for that 3, and then he didn't play the second game, so that was great of their double. The only time you ever wanted him, and then people are buying him last week and this week, 74 and a 98. So it's just hilarious how it works sometimes. Gurinder Sandhu came in for a nice one as well. But you see there, Green coming in with the best score last week. How good's Connolly going? It's so impressive watching him bat. And bowled a little bit, a couple overs in their last game, which is good. And then you've got Joel Paris and Mark Steckity. Good work from them, that's for sure. And Glenn Maxwell's getting cheaper at 163k, but you're basically buying him as bat only. It was good to see Stoinis bowl the other day, but yeah, didn't bowl his best. And a nice little twofer for Cameron Boyce. Lloydie Pope, if you're holding on to him at 121k, you probably stick strong with him. Meredith's an easy guy to buy at 117. You got Waka and Shai Hope there, who will both be leaving after this round, after round 6. So yeah, don't go buying any of those guys. Chowdhury's still someone you can buy at a 121k. Samami I'd probably leave out. Chris Jordan you could buy as well with the 28. Actually, yeah, he got that 4 at the end, didn't he? Ellis, I think you wait another week or two, given the lower score from him. And I think that's basically it. That's all of them based on average. Overton, you could easily hold if you want to. Jackson Bird, a cracking 80 average. How good's that? Dorsch, yeah, after that lower game, you probably hold off. Richo, Berendorf, all great single game guys, but do you wait until next week? Probably. But I do understand jumping on any of those guys this week. Jack Edwards is an interesting one. I think that extra game off is going to be good for him and his body. But yeah, death bowler batting at 6 is always a good role. So if you're looking at him, awesome. But yeah, Bethel will be my number 1 target this week for the single game guys, and then going for the Thunder guys. And just a shout out to Bo Webster. What an incredible debut for all the boys. Congratulations to the Australian team. It was absolutely incredible efforts. And yeah, not too much else to say on that. The only thing here with those guys is a few of them are going to get a bit of time off. They go to Sri Lanka in like 12 days. So not sure how many of them are going to play many Big Bash games, or they're going to take a bit of a rest. But we'll see how that one plays out. Zampa still down there at 29.5 average, so he'll be cheap again next year, which is just crazy. But there you go. Kane Richardson stayed low as well. So both those guys, you'd think it would work out. A lot of the bowlers are getting wickets and doing well at some stage, but they just haven't done that yet. So there you go. We'll leave it at that for this one. Good luck if you do pick Thunder players. Hopefully they play the double. If you're going to go against that, different strategy. You can go for all the single guys there for sure. Finn Allens, Bethels, more of those kind of guys. Xavier Bartlett, probably the one I didn't mention here with one of the top averages there. Spencer Johnson. They're two guys I think are pretty interesting there. Bartlett coming off the 117. You don't miss that massive price rise that you would have got last week with them missing that game. So both those guys are very, very interesting with nice averages to boot. So yeah, I don't know why I skipped over them. I was thinking about Bartlett for my own team. And I still can, but I do think Bethel's probably the play. And if I didn't go a Warner, then I think, could I move someone up? Yeah, I can move Bethel up and grab a Xavier Bartlett for single games going forward. But very, very interesting how that one's going to work. But we'll leave it at that, guys. Have a cracking couple of days. Have a good round. Hopefully you did well. I've got a few guys that have been commenting saying that they've been in really good ranks and doing well. So hopefully that's the case. And I hope to see a bunch of you in the comments letting me know where you're at. I think in our JBFA crew, we've got someone coming 50th or something like that, which is pretty cool. I'm personally 18th out of 82, and we've got 42nd for Jack there. So unfortunately went back 28 spots from 13th, and same for Mitchell into 103rd. So hopefully those guys have a bounce back and get into the close to 900, 1,000 would be ideal this week. We'll see how it goes, guys. We'll see you later.